Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are continuing our discussion on book marketing with a little ditty about book tours. And are those still a thing? Right? Let's talk about this. You may be familiar with this concept of a book tour where you publish a book and then you drag a bunch of hard copies around the country from bookstore to bookstore and school to school or wherever, giving readings, meeting the readers, signing, autographing copies of your book. So, this may shock you, but in today's world where we are dealing with the fallout from a global pandemic, but also a shifting book market, those aren't really a thing anymore. And typically they were kind of more of a thing with traditional publishing houses. And here's a secret. They were not very cheap. Publishing houses don't really want to pay for them anymore. And it turns out that there's just so many more effective ways to do this type of promoting. So we are now shifting into the world of virtual book tours. And sometimes you hear them called blog tours. They have replaced the concept of a in-person book tour. And that's not to say you can't still go in person places, but you're not touring the country for months and weeks or, whatever it is. You may go locally to your local bookstore or a couple local events, but you're not traveling across country with your boxes of books and, Sharpies ready to sign. So we're going to talk today about the virtual book tour or a blog tour. We'll talk about that. But essentially, it's just how you kind of connect with the right people and, get word of mouth, get connected, get your book talked about. This really, this new little trend here of virtual book tours is going to continue growing and growing. This is a very popular way and a very effective way to promote your book. So what is a blog tour? What is a book tour? A virtual book tour. It's essentially replacing the I'm going to stop here, here, and here on this 2-month journey. You're just going to bounce instead of bookstore to bookstore to, from blog to blog. And really, when we say blog, in this video, I want you to replace that with whatever works for you. Podcasts, YouTube channels, webinars, there obviously blogs will be a great place for this, but there are so many types of online media or social media sources that can fill in the gap where a virtual book tour to bookstores, or where a traditional book tour to bookstores needs replacing. So this is the new wave. And it's not going anywhere, folks. So during a virtual book tour, you essentially find blogs or those other sources that I just mentioned that are good fit for you, your book, and your readers. They might be, for memoir, they might really vary. There might be blogs that talk about books or writing, but they might also be on your topic within your book. So you just look for ways, for opportunities to connect with these other sources that allow you to come into their fold to talk about your book. So let's talk about how this works. Now, obviously, there are many benefits to a book tour, blog tour, whatever. But one of the main benefits is to raise awareness about your book, but about your mission. Yes, this is bigger than just your book. Why are you spending all this time on just a book? Is it really about the money? Isn't there a lot easier ways to make money? Let's just cut the crap here, people. Your first book is not the way to riches. It's really, truly not going to make you rich. It's not going to give you enough money to support you for your entire life. So let's just go ahead and call a spade a spade. This is hard work for not as much return as like a full-time job, maybe, but maybe not. So if you are not out there trying to raise awareness, you're out there doing the wrong thing. That's my opinion. But the more that you engage with the mission behind your book, the more successful you're going to be. So within that vein, Blog tours help raise awareness. They get you more reviews. They get you more engagement with people. And when you are connecting and engaging and they read your book and they review you, you're just passing along that energy. They're saying, hey, this book is amazing. I'm vouching for it. Someone else is going to read that and pick it up. It's just going to continue that progression of positivity towards more readers. You also, this is one really awesome benefit, you get referral links to your website. So let's say you wrote a guest blog, a post for another blog that has a really good following. They're going to link back to your author website. And if you don't have one, they're going to link back to, where they can purchase your book. But if you have a website, getting external links and external feeds into your website really helps with your Google optimization, your SEO. Google's going to pick up your site faster and it's going to rank higher, which means you're going to get more organic traffic. So it may not be something you're very familiar with. And SEO, by the way, that stands for search engine optimization. Google's a search engine. So when you have good SEO and you have backlinks and all of that jazz, I'm not going to go into all the tech stuff here, but that just helps people find you more. That's what that translates into. More visitors on your website, and more traffic and more increased rankings. People are just going to find you more. They might type in something on Google like narcissistic abuse or whatever the kind of topic your book is on, and maybe your website pops up in the first 5 to 10, on that first page of search results. Wouldn't that be amazing? And they're not even saying book by author name. They're not looking for your particular book, but your book will be showcased if your author website is optimized to be ranked higher. So again, that's just a little side benefit here, but that's really part of the big picture of getting people, drawing them to your book and drawing them to you and your website. And you're also building relationships with bigger and bigger names. So if you're successful on 1, 2, 3 blogs or podcasts or whatever it is, the more you're successful with, the more people are going to see you, and bigger names with bigger reaches are going to be more, willing to say, hey, yeah, let's have you on my giant platform here. You've performed well. You have made these connections. I'm familiar with these blogs. I'm willing to take a risk. So this is all kind of a big picture way of saying, yeah, you're going to get more readers and engagement and sell more books, but it's bigger than that. It's a more of a bigger picture here. This isn't just like, let me hit the next 10 places to talk about my book. You're building relationships. You are making a name for yourself. You are talking about a bigger mission, and people will start listening. So how do you do a book tour? How do you do a blog tour online, right? How do we do this? Do you just go write a bunch of articles and submit them to a bunch of blogs, or what do you do, right? So it's kind of the same thing. Like if you were planning an actual trip, you're planning a book tour, you have to plan out where you're going to stop and when, and what time you're going to talk and about what, and all of that, right? So enter into the planning stage, if you will. In order to figure out where you will be stopping on your book tour, you're going to have to do some research. What websites, what blogs, what podcasts, what, radio talk shows, whatever it is, are interested in talking to you about what topic? Your book, writing, memoir, single mothering, whatever it is. How can you engage with these particular websites in a way that provides them value? And when I say them, I really mean their readers, but also that are the right fit. You could provide value to multiple places that aren't really a great fit for you. They might get some benefit, but you may not. And then there are places that you might reach out to see if there is an opportunity there, and they'll ask for payment. Those are usually not a very good fit because they're not necessarily motivated to promote your work, promote your content, because they've already gotten paid. They They aren't motivated to like make the reach bigger. So beware of where you ask, but you're really just going to start out by figuring out what fits and what you can talk about and all of that. So let's kind of shift into the planning stages, how to organize this thing. There are kind of like five big steps or so that you want to think about and put some effort into and plan. Okay. So number one, you have to find opportunities. This is the research. Prepare a spreadsheet and look for opportunities to connect with, right? Bloggers, Instagrammers, YouTubers. Who are these people that have engaged audiences that you could lend some content to? Remember, you're not asking for a favor here. This is a trade. They don't have to prepare content for that particular spot, or they don't have to go find someone to fill that interview slot. You're allowing them to utilize your expertise or your voice and your words to give to their readers, their audience, in exchange for exposure for you. So this is a give, a mutually reciprocal, beneficial relationship here. So think about that. Again, you don't have to limit yourself just to blogs. You can think about in-person events as well, but when you think virtually, podcasts, maybe Facebook Lives, Instagram Lives, whatever, YouTube channels, that type of thing, you may end up speaking live, or you may end up writing something in advance. So start by brainstorming where opportunities may arise. Think about whether or not there's a connection to the fact that you are writing a memoir, you are a female, maybe you are an underrepresented demographic of some sort. There might be a community that you can tap into that's representative of who you are, but also, would be receptive to talking with you about this accomplishment that you've achieved. So they may not be your direct readership, but there's someone that will ultimately promote you and support you because you're part of their community. Think about places that might want to talk to you about your writing process or publication process. For example, I love to talk with my previous my published clients about their process. What happened? What did you expect? What did you love? What was hard for you? So that we can share that love a little bit. Might I be also in their readership? Might my audience be in their readership? Maybe. But we're going to talk about some things that help my readers and help promote their book as well. Then there's going to be opportunities that are directly related to the topic of your book. So if you're writing on how you survive divorce, might you find a blog that supports women going through divorce, or post-divorce transformation type of opportunity, podcast, whatever it is. So think a little widely. This isn't just like who's directly in my readership, but who can I get in front of that has 5, 10, 15,000 readers or viewers or listeners, and a good chance that out of those 10,000 females, you may reach the females that you want to reach for your readership, whatever it is. So start thinking what might be good opportunities. Then you get out your spreadsheet and you track, you list these places, okay? What is the blog website? What is the owner's name or the editor's name? How do you get in contact with them? Can you find an email address? Is there a form that you submit to? So you're going to need to start doing research. Now, let's talk about who's a good fit. When you're online doing research about which blogs or which podcasts or whatever might be a good fit for you, here are a few things you want to look into. When was their last post? Are they doing anything recent, or was it 2, 3, 4 months ago? And it feels like they've really just stalled and disappeared. You don't obviously want someone, even if they have 1 million followers, if they're not very engaged. What's 1 million unengaged followers? What's the difference between that and like 10 engaged followers? Not a lot. look at their blog. If you're writing a blog for them, or look at their podcast, how much engagement do they have on their blog posts or their Instagram lives or whatever it is? Do they have a ton of comments and a ton of likes? Or is it just that they have a lot of followers that aren't engaging? That's a really key metric there you want to look into. Are they active on their other channels? For example, if you find a blogger that has a lot of engagement on the blog and they're looking active, but they don't talk about their blog anywhere else, that looks a little interesting to me. Why wouldn't you be talking on your Facebook or your Instagram or your Twitter about your recently, pitched blog post? Maybe they have a really active email campaign, whatever it is. You want to make sure that even though they may have something going on their blog, they also are elsewhere, because that expands their reach, not only for them, but for you, right? So you also could look into whether or not they have any guest posts already. There are some sites that are really heavy on guest posts. Then there are other sites that don't have any at all. So if they don't have any at all, your chances of being their first guest post might be limited. Maybe they don't allow guest posts. That's okay. But if they're really heavy on guest posts, look at the engagement on those as well, because their readers might be expecting, like, hey, yeah, we want to hear from a lot of different people. And so they may have built up the expectation of guest posts are going to be the thing happening here. So just check out how they've kind of interwoven guests within their bubble, so to speak, and how well received they've been. And then if you can get any information about how big their following or mailing list is, that's going to be helpful as well. Then you have to create the content. You have to figure out what you want to talk about, write the blog post, whatever it is, have some different interviews, speeches, if you will, mapped out, so that when you reach out to them, you can have an idea of what you want to talk about. Sometimes with a guest post, you're submitting the actual article that will be produced or that will be published. And remember, if you're reaching out to 10, 15 blogs, you're not submitting the same article to 15 different blogs. You're submitting 15 different ones. They don't want to reproduce something on another blog. No one wants that. No one wants copied stuff, right? They want original, written by you, valuable stuff. Be engaging, be funny, or be yourself, whatever that is, but don't be generic. Don't be spreading yourself across and just have some very generic message for every single platform, because the one that wants to talk to you about writing your book is not going to care about how or vice versa. Like the one, that's going to talk to you about how you survived after divorce doesn't necessarily want to hear about your writing habits. Maybe, but maybe not, right? So check your audience. Who's going to care about what, and what is the value that you can produce? So you might start by saying, I have these 10 post topics in mind, and I'm going to look for 10 blogs that could fit them. Whatever you do, make sure that you are creating fresh new content for each resource. And then you just have to promote it. Once you have these commitments to people, they're going to promote it to their readership, but you're going to promote it to yours, because this is really mutual. So you're going to share it on your social media, and you're going to send it out to your mailing list, and you're going to reach out to your connections and personally invite them, and prepare a tour schedule of, hey, I'm going to be published on this site this day. I'm going to be talking on this podcast this day, blah, 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 blah. You're going to have all the links. So be mindful of how these all work, so that you understand how the hype is going to be built and how they're interrelated. Then make sure you ask people to help you share these things. Share this on your page, or invite a friend to the talk, or whatever it is. And if all of that sounds like so much work, you can hire a virtual book tour company. They do exist. This is a thing. They do all the hard work for you. I don't have a really good read on like how much you would pay for a lot, how much you pay for what. But think a couple $100 maybe. I would assume maybe the bottom dollar is going to be $75, $100, and upwards, towards maybe $500, just to kind of, what they have is they have connections to bloggers and connections to big names that might be good fits for you. Or, depending on the company, they may not have a ton of connections, but they do have some good ones. So you're paying for just a couple. I don't know. You have to look into what your topic is and what you really want to accomplish with this, right? Is it worth the money? Make sure you read about how they can help you and get really specific on what they're offering before you send them money. And in the end, you can probably get away with doing a lot of this yourself, but it is some work. It does take preparation and planning, and it ultimately can be very, very worth it. It's just a lot of work. So that's kind of the spiel on blog tours, book tours, virtual book tours. I'm going to be done now, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on if this is something that you ever thought about doing or plan on doing or have done. If you're already published, let me know in the comments, and come back for my next video when we're going to talk about more book marketing topics to be announced later. Talk to you then.